have it every week. We've just entered the information for Brigitte. We've listened to her name and got her voice recording. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the analysis. This is the initial analysis. And Brigitte, we're looking at her. She has migraines. So we want to see what we see here. There's not a whole lot of red and blue, but let's, interestingly enough, the brain EEG. So we're thinking migraines. We're thinking nervous system activity. What could be going on? It's interesting that high and low gamma come up. I don't have a lot to say about the brain waves, but let's just include them. Interesting that they came up. Let's just include them for now. Let's just take a peek at the aura in the beginning, and then we'll come back to it later. So we'll take a picture of it. And then we'll come back and we'll look at it afterwards. You can do this with your client as well, or for yourself, to see how the shifts and changes during the session. Okay, so I believe Brigitte is a healer. She's in Germany. You guys heard her voice recording there. She's got beautiful blues going on there. I suspect she may do some spiritual practice, and we'll see why she's getting the migraines in just a moment. Let's go ahead and look at some of the things in red and blue. So she's got the chakras were in red. Interestingly, the crown chakra being out of balance. So even if you don't know anything about health, you guys use your common sense. Migraine, that's something in the head, it's something around the neck. Is it muscular? Is it nervous system? Those are the things we want to think about. Spinal energy is a good one to use for migraines. So let's go ahead and let's look at the spinal energy. Now the spinal energy was in yellow, but even though it's in yellow, it doesn't mean that we should not look at it. Things that are in red and blue in the system overview should only be loosely considered as being important. In other words, you should look at all of the panels that you deem to be significant. Now, what do you guys notice here? You may not know very much about the back, but the THs are about the thoracic spine. And everybody here should make sure they have my mastery guide. If you don't have the mastery guide and my videos, go to awakentotalhealth.com and just put in mastery into the search bar, and you'll see the options that we have. So what we see here is a pattern of thoracic and cervical. Thoracic spine is in the middle. Okay, from your spine emerge nerves. And what I'm seeing here is some issues around this part of the back, but also the neck. So my feeling is that part of this is very likely muscular, structural perhaps. No, we don't need to include that one, but we want to include these other ones up to the 600, and then everything 200 and lower. Even though these 200 and lower numbers are in green, I still recommend that you include them. Those of you who have been taking my trainings know that this is the pre-testing area where we put out a wide net of things that we're interested in. And we see lots and lots of spinal things. So this is neurological, migraine is nervous system, and it could easily come from compressed nerves. We also know in naturopathic medicine that migraines are liver related. So we want to make sure that we look at the digestive system. You guys, if you have anything going wrong with anybody, if you work on the digestive system, they will very likely get better. And we do see, boy, you can't make that up, can you? Liver and gallbladder being the highest levels of concern for her. And let's go down to the bottom here. Small intestine and pancreas also being concerned, but my interest really is this liver gallbladder system and whatever she can do to make her liver and gallbladder better. Some of it will improve through harmonizing, through the work that we're going to do today. But we should never really divorce ourselves from the fact that we are in physical bodies. Biofeedback is instrumental not only in giving us the ability to feed back the important frequencies, but also to learn from the results. We're being informed by these results in a powerful way, and it says to Brigitte, make changes. dandelion, milk thistle, gallbladder flush, perhaps colonics, whatever she needs to do to improve this carrot juice, green juices, really refrain from the fried foods and the heavy foods, refrain from free oils. So that really gives you the information that you're looking for. Whenever you're looking at biofeedback, please be very encouraged to know that even if you know a little bit about health, that you can really be very, very powerful just by getting good at looking at patterns. Let's go ahead and go to the emotions. We always want to include emotions in all of our balancing. The reason is your balancing is going to be so much more powerful, you guys. You're harmonizing. These migraines are certainly related to some intertwined emotional issue. Everything is, even when you get a cold, even when you get the flu, there's something going on emotionally. So we include these. They become part of the balancing soup. They become part of the energy that people are working through, that people are attempting to clear. And we're clearing all of these together with the physical issue. This makes it more powerful. And especially if we engage the person, I'll be sending Brigitte some of the results of what we discovered for her. Okay, so then we go to the flower essences, and we're going to include those. We're going to read some of the flower essences and include those. All right, so let's go ahead and get those in there, and we'll talk about them when we retest them. We're going to retest them in our, wow, look at all these down at the bottom. We're going to retest them when we get into our progressive insights. Then we're going to go to our custom testing libraries. There are going to be some specials coming up for Black Friday, so you should look for those. If you're interested in the testing panels, you will be able to get some bonuses and some really good things coming your way. All right, so let's get those. You can go all the way up to 200 because you're not really testing them here. It's not that you're looking up all of them right here. You're going to get into progressive insights and then retest them at a higher level of testing, at a stronger level of testing. And when you do, it will give you that aha moment. What is the issue that is of the real importance? And you communicate that to the person. That really usually gets the aha moment from them, where they say, wow, that really is up for me. At that point, they begin to discharge, they begin to release, they begin to clear things from their field. So we like to engage them in this way. Then we want to go to our custom testing libraries. If you can get the full 200, it's of the highest benefit because it includes many common conditions that you will see when people come to see you, or even that you may be facing yourself. So let's just add all of these to her profile. This will just take a moment. We go back here, and then I can find the one that I'm interested in, which is particularly migraine assessment and migraine solution. All right, we just need a minute, and then it's going to recalibrate there. We can look at some of these that came up high, but I really just want to dive in and look at the migraine assessment. These are ones that I have created based on my naturopathic knowledge. And I put in some of the common things that people are dealing with when they have migraines. So a lot of these are the high histamine foods, also called the high tyramine foods. And we find out that liver is there. Sometimes it falls a little bit because, you guys, every time you discover something, every time something comes up, it does clear it. Every time you test something, it does a little bit of clearing on it. So sometimes it does change the prioritization, or it may be that these foods are what is irritating the liver. So the cheese should be probably removed from the diet for 21 days. The soy sauce, this could be telling us that if you've ever had Bragg's aminos, you guys, that is not really a great food. That is not really a great additive. We think about the Bragg's products as being really good, and Patricia Bragg and so forth, but these aminos and these soy derivatives, especially these really high concentrations, are not good, and they've been said to be excitotoxins. So this, if she has any type of soy derivative or even just a regular soy product, I guess we'll find out from her. I don't know how popular these are in where she lives in Germany, but this could easily be triggering a migraine because of the chemicals. They do trigger the brain in a powerful way. Unfortunately, people don't like to hear that, but they do cause a brain reaction. Then we see cheese, 652, liver, 628. We're going to include all of those down to the number 600. Even though they're in green and yellow, you guys, write down the numbers 200, 600, 200 and lower, 600 and higher. So red wine, maybe she doesn't drink wine, but for some reason that's coming up. Any dust, you guys, when you hear about things that can affect your health, it can get overwhelming. So sometimes you just need to take a break. However, if you read the literature on house dust, it's absolutely astounding. House dust can carry a very high level of chemicals, so much so that the amount of dust, depending on what amount of dust you have in your home, it can actually cause endocrine disruption. It literally can cause a disruption in your hormones from breathing the dust in your home if it's excessive. And that is why we who are in environmental medicine, in the naturopathic community, we do recommend air purifiers, the ones that, like your Austin Air, or there's the IQ Air system. If you guys want to learn about those, you can send me a message, Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, Ariel@awakentotalhealth.com. So dust can have serious consequences. The tyramines are the substances in the foods. So when you have someone with a migraine, you really want to eliminate these foods with the tyramines right off the bat. That is going to be the chocolate, wine, cheese. There are a few other ones of them that have the tyramines. You can just Google, tyramines and migraines. And then inflammation. Something is causing underlying inflammation that's triggering the migraine. Now, you guys, all of these may be true. None of these may be true. This may be because it's a purely emotional issue, but usually things are multifactorial. And the truth is that we go and we get all of the items one might be thinking of as being multifactorial, like recovering the emotions, recovering the foods, recovering the digestive organs. This really parallels how any naturopathic doctor or holistic practitioner would approach this. We want to get it from all angles, and then we want to ask again, out of all of these angles, which one is the most important? Now, feverfew is one of the most popular herbs and one of the most well-studied herbs for migraines. Feverfew seems to affect one of the serotonin receptors in the brain and helps to, in a very powerful way, prevent migraines if people who have migraines take it regularly. Dandelion, that's for the liver. So castor oil packs to the liver, colonics. Dandelion helps the bile flow better. That's going to help to detoxify the liver. Just drinking more water. You guys know the book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water, right? By the Batman guy, Batman G. And so people who have migraines, they can also be very dehydrated. During the colder times of the year, people have the heat on. They stay indoors more. It's very easy to get dehydrated very, very quickly. So make sure that you're drinking enough water. That will help the liver. It'll help the kidneys. 5-HTP-tryptophan is another one we use for migraines. Ginkgo is another one. These are butterbur, peppermint oil. These are all solutions associated with helping migraines, but which one of them do you use? That's why we include all of them broadly down in the main whole tray, and then we observe if any of these percolate to the top when we retest. So now we have in our main whole tray organs, right? The liver, brain waves, the chakras. We have emotions. We have solutions for the emotions, and we have both the causative factors and the solution factors for Brigitte. This, after all the years I've been in naturopathic medicine, this is the multifactorial way. We're hitting it from all angles, But then additionally, we're asking universal consciousness, what do I do next? Which one is the priority out of all of these? And that's really a missing piece when I'm sitting across from someone and talking to them. I'm giving them my best intuitive guess. That's why many naturopaths incorporate muscle testing, kinesiology. But kinesiology is time. It takes time. And even as a good practitioner, you still at times second guess yourself. Was that really a positive? This is much more objective. And it's really much more efficient. It's time productive. So the number one really interesting thing going on for her here is actually this TH10. So the thoracic 10 area being in this area of the lower back. So how is her posture? Does she sit at a desk? Does she do yoga? Does she stretch her spine? We want to find those out. This is some of the things we ask gently, as we're sitting with someone. We don't want to blame them. We just want to sort of explore what's going on with them. Could this possibly be an issue for you? So then I let them see the emotions, and I say, yeah, there's some emotional stuff coming up here. What I'm hoping is that they'll recognize a piece of themselves in them, in what they're reading. I really don't sort of take it out, trot it out, and put it on display like, hey, you've got pride and apathy up for you. I just say, oh, these are some emotions that are clearing themselves out. Let them see if there's a reality in that for them. Often when they read something, they see a part of themselves that causes them to release. That causes them to begin to discharge. Mimulus is fear of unknown things. So we don't know exactly what's going on in Brigitte life, but I usually say, is there a sliver? Is there a piece? Is there a thread of that is true for you today? It only has to be momentary. It could be something that she's going through just today and clearing. And remember that Bach would use several remedies throughout the day to help people with physical illnesses. These things are always shifting and changing. Again, look at TH11. That's another thoracic. Do you think that's close to TH10? That's the next cervical vertebra down. So definitely something going on with the spine. And could that be related to migraines? Of course. So the tyramine foods, removing those is probably going to bear a lot of fruit for her, because we see these foods come up again, the cheese, the wine. These foods are loaded with tyramines. So maybe she just hasn't gotten all of them, or maybe she hasn't been aware of them at all. Red chestnut, over concern for the welfare of loved ones. I see this all the time in people who are healers, who are interested in healing. Over concern for the welfare of loved ones. We see we've got a lot of things here that we're hitting high notes with, and this is always a sign that you've chosen good things to put into your balancing if you've got lots of high items here. So wow, just like everything that we've done here almost is a high item. And you can do this in a triplet, I guess a trinity. We can look for the top 3 flower essences. So we covered mimulus. I don't think we covered, we covered red chestnut. And we've got one more here, which is elm. And it's good, you guys, to use what's in my mastery guide. So check out the mastery guide, and it's got these very, very small descriptions. You don't have to give a whole monologue about these. But elm is overwhelmed by responsibility. And when you put that together, overwhelmed by responsibility, over concern for loved ones, right? Uncertain about the future. I mean, that may tell the whole story about why she's having migraines. And when the person hears that and they're acknowledged and allowed to release it, there is a lot happening in their energy field. Then we're going to balance them for 3 minutes, and then we can retest. At the same time we're running them for 3 minutes, we can be imprinting these frequencies into water and have them take the remedy after 3 minutes. When they also receive the frequencies and the remedy, we then, if they're there in person, we discard the water. If you're really a metaphysical practitioner, you can actually drink that water. If they're long distance, you can take the frequencies of that water for them as surrogate. So that's one option. We haven't talked about that too much in the practitioner class, but it's really an interesting concept, and there's no harm. This is frequency medicine, you guys. There's no harm that will come. If anything, it will be positive. If you look at the Reiki practitioners, they are always running energy through their body to come down from universal consciousness to be received by others. But what we do when the person is here with us, we have them drink the 5 drops of the imprinted water. We then discard the water and we renew it with new imprints when we do another test. So in 3 minutes, we're going to do another test. Their energy field will have changed after 3 minutes. So we're able to retest them with this new energy. Okay, so Lisa Marie says, Caleb and I are both here. We enjoyed the summit. And you guys, if you go to Facebook and you type in Genius Insight Support, I think it's Genius Insight Specials, Genius Insight, just type in Genius Insight and you'll find it. The summit is posted on all of those pages. If there's anyone here who didn't see the summit, I'd definitely go and watch it. I want to thank all of the guests who joined the summit, Karen and Sophie, and just so many wonderful people in our community. Go watch that summit where we interview people who are using biofeedback for their clients, for themselves. Today, Karen has 5 people there. Bob's doing the trial. Hey, Bob. And he's working on his shoulder pain. Yeah. Bob, I don't think, Karen, you sent his full date of birth. Oh, there we do. I have it. Okay, we'll work on him next. Okay, great. Does the quick balance do the whole page or just the bottom and top 3? What the quick balance does, Sherry, is the quick balance, and thanks for being here, Sherry. What the quick balance does is it works on every blue and every red in the entire program. Every blue and every red in the entire program is worked on with the quick balance. Would you review the proper way to close the Genius after completing a session? When you now go back to the beginning and you tap Add Client, it clears the whole energy, Sherry. So if you go back to the beginning and it says you're going to lose everything, and then now you're going to return, you're going to see your client in the beginning. This is sort of like how the Infinity was, and you just hit Add New Client. Even if you have that client in your database, if you hit Add New Client, it's going to clear the name and it's going to clear the energy, and then you just go back and you can start a new session. If you don't like that, then just double click at your home button on your device and just close out the app and come back in. It's totally up to you. So Carol says coconut aminos has no soy and is a useful, tentative, and something in yummy. If not vegetarian, red boat sauce is a good alternative. You know, the only weird thing is that I find that coconut aminos, personally, I don't know if it's a fermented thing, but they give me a tremendous headache. I cannot personally take in coconut aminos, so I may be super sensitive to those high concentrated aminos, so people, I think, should just proceed cautiously. However, coconut aminos certainly is an alternative to the soy. Okay, you guys, great, great. Let's what we want to do now is let's just go ahead and we'll do one more balancing. This is the way that we build a depth to what we're doing. So after balancing for 3 minutes, we simply test one more thing. It could be something that we have an intuition about, something that we just want to include. We could even just add one random frequency. We don't need to retest. We do see the gallbladder meridian here. That's really important for migraines. So that is so interesting. It's not adding it because it's the word gallbladder. That I need to check. Okay. So does it add this one? It's not. It's being, that's adding that one. Okay, that we really need to, that we need to check. All right, so it should be distinguishing between small intestine meridian and small intestine. Right now it's just picking up the same word and not adding it to the tray. So we need to look at that. After 3 minutes, you guys, it's going to sort of blow off some of the superficial stuff, right? That's why we do this sort of rotation. We can do straight balancing. There's nothing wrong with that. You can just set it for 15 minutes and forget it and do a balancing for yourself or your client. There's nothing wrong with that. But the reason that we peel layers is because the first 3 minutes will be more superficial. They'll receive that. They'll begin to settle in, right? Then we go to another 3 minutes. So now we find larch. Larch is a very powerful flower essence, lack of confidence, okay? And sometimes you guys can take the explanations in my mastery guide and you can shape them more in the positive. So sometimes I'll say to people, oh, you're really striving and cultivating wonderful conviction and belief in yourself. So I'll try to, lack of confidence sometimes can feel really negative. So you can use the terms in the positive. We've got the 5-HTP and the feverfew now coming through, the dandelion, affection. That means you're trying to be more maybe affectionate or connect with that part of yourself that really is, you know, very, very sharing of affection. There's the T12. So when we saw T11, T12, sorry, T11, T10, and now T12, we've got the gamma. Now pine is about feeling, or I guess I could reframe this like releasing guilt about some past thing that's happened. I see a whole sort of relationship of all these flower essences that we've looked at today. So, and then the next third one here is chicory. So this is about releasing a feeling of selfishness, or releasing a feeling of being possessive, just letting go of that. So these are really, really powerful to share with people if they're open to it and you just want to be gentle about how you share it. We're still seeing those thoracics. I'd almost say this is how you really become good at biofeedback, that there is a very strong chance that whatever's going on in those lower thoracics is a major part or component of why Brigitte is having the migraines. And we can see some good solutions there. I would absolutely be confident that feverfew would probably be a very good remedy for her, as well as whatever she can do to clear out the liver. We saw those things again and again and again. So gallbladder liver flush, feverfew, avoiding the tyramine foods, and getting some stretch of the spine on a slant board, massage, perhaps acupuncture, postural correction. Right there, we've got like a very meaty, complete program that could have taken weeks to figure out without biofeedback. So it really is practice, 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 becoming good at looking at patterns and how pieces fit together. You know, also just being a really good listener to the person who's coming in to see you. You guys, when you go to those summits, check out the interview with Alina. Alina, she is from the United Kingdom, and she had an amazing interview talking about how the genius has added this piece to her clinical practice. You know, she knows her history, she listens to the person, but there's this extra piece that the genius has been able to bring in for her in testing, and she talks about in that summit talk how important it was for her. It really cut down on the amount of testing that she has to do. Instead of 1,000 pounds worth of testing, maybe it's going to be 200 pounds of testing, so not as much. She's able to laser focus her assessment. So really, really interesting. You guys will do one more, and we want to go and look at that aura and see how that aura has changed. And then I often check in with people and I say, how did you feel between the hours of 9 and 10 Pacific time? You know, and people will often say, you know, I did feel a shift, or I knew when you were working on me. So they're very, very tapped into that. All right, let's go now and just look at her aura. So we could go back to the aura panel right here, and we should be able to, if we can't do it right away, we just do this for 1 minute, test it for a minute, and we should be able to, even if we just do it for a second, we should be able to stop the balancing, and we should get the begin analysis again. We can see it there. So we begin the analysis, and this is something you could take a screenshot of this before and after to show people what their aura looked like before and after. This is really great when you're doing sample testing for people, when you're out there and you're marketing yourself or just talking about what it is that you do. So this is really glorious, isn't it? She's really gone from those blue and greens, which are beautiful, but you often will see people go into those purples and pinks as they begin to bring the energy in. The energy comes in this way, it goes out on this side. Really interesting. I don't know what's going on here, but remember we saw that crown chakra sort of have that blockage. This is all about the migraine, so it's really interesting that that energy is all golden around her crown chakra. So that's pretty fascinating. I guess we should take a picture of that so we can send that to her. So that's great. And you can also send it this way as well. Where is that? I think you can just do this. I think there's an email option. I'll figure it out later, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a way to generate that and email it to the client, or you can just take a picture of it. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Now we want to go one more time. We want to bring one more item in. Let's just do the Nogiers, the umbrella Nogiers. But you know, you guys can read about the Nogiers in my mastery guide. Definitely get that mastery guide. It really helps you. See, those Nogiers are saying, you know what, let's go back and let's actually test them individually. And these are the resonances for people of different systems. And let's include F and B. And a lot of these have to do with the brain, and they're the natural sort of home coherences for the nervous system. So they're actually good to include for migraines. So continue to, we got, you know, see this emotion may be a core emotion that couldn't come out until we got 3 to 6 minutes into the balancing. And I'd be super gentle. It's like, oh, there's some of this coming out. Hey, I got this stuff coming up for me all the time, or stuff comes up for everyone. But that may be, you know, this may be a locked emotion that's just being finally released because we're doing an outer layer, then we're getting to another layer, and then we're going to a third level of depth, and so maybe be able to get to a core emotion. And Elm comes up again, overwhelmed by responsibility. So you want to say to yourself, is there a connection between this emotion and being overwhelmed by responsibility? You know, that's something you want to ask, and you can also put it out there for the person to come to their own conclusion, where you go, oh, that's interesting. Overwhelmed by responsibility. Oh, that's an interesting connection, or that's interesting that both of these come up at the top, or isn't this fascinating that both of these come up? Let them come to their own conclusion, whereas you're sort of walking them down the road, but they can choose that for themselves, where they can see the connection. Peppermint oil being a wonderful remedy, but it may not be working for that person until we come to this point. So this may be a point in time where peppermint oil is more resonant for them, or more connecting. We may need to dig those layers. Maybe we needed to clear the liver before the peppermint oil becomes really effective. You know, you can read all day long about what the studies say for this remedy. You will never be as successful as when you have a technology that can make it individual for that person at this time. So muscle testing is one way to do that. Acupuncture and pulse and tongue assessment is a way to do it. But until you have something that allows you to penetrate through sort of the layers of all of these studies, you guys, any remedy could probably work for any person at any time. Really, the trick in being a good practitioner is figuring out which remedy or vehicle will work for them at this moment. And that's why biofeedback really shines, because we're able to get to this. Look at all of these. When you see all of these are high, you're really hitting home runs. You're really getting to the heart of the matter. That's really, really good. So, you know, we definitely would want to continue to work on this. And we're going to transition in just a moment. I just wanted to see which flower essences. So cherry plum is now an essence that comes up. So I work in threes. It's always 3 flower essences. So cherry plum is fear of the mind giving way. And that may have meaning for that person. And then white chestnut is unwanted thoughts and mental arguments. So this may be an inner conversation that the person is having. All right. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to move on to another case here. We're going to work with Bob, who's with Karen right now. So let's see if we can get there and get to the questions here. All right, so I hope you guys have some really exciting plans for the holidays. We will be here next week, and I am looking at possibly either transitioning the support to Facebook directly, where we do our live support call on Facebook, or I may do an additional class during the week and then just do it live to Facebook. So if you don't have a Facebook account, you might want to make sure you have one. In case we do that, it'll require you to log in through Facebook to be part of our program. Or if you haven't looked for your Facebook account in a while, you might just want to renew it. Okay, so let's go in and look at this other case. We're going to enter Bob's information in a moment. Your other questions, you guys, any questions that you have, this is a good time to ask them. I'm just going to turn this off here. I hope you guys are planning something really amazing, good for your holiday, or even just getting a little bit of rest. For those of us in the northern part of the world, it's definitely feeling like winter time, the weather being more cold, the days being shorter, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. You sort of just want to relax by the fire and have a warm beverage for the majority of the day. So it's definitely that time of year. With the solstice coming, it feels like it's a very short days. So I hope you're doing something to stay warm and snuggle in and just get some good, well-deserved rest. Okay, we've got Bob's information entered, and I think we only have 10 more minutes. I'm just going to skip the voice and picture and just get right to the heart of the matter here. And he's working on shoulder pain, 1 year of shoulder pain, and some seizure issues. A hole in the heart, I don't know what that is. He's also numb, mini paralysis, so he's got lots of stuff going on in his nervous system. Bob, to be totally honest with you, I don't think we're going to solve all the problems of the world in 10 minutes, but I know you're in good hands with Karen, and I'm most grateful that you're joining us today. Thank you for being here. Well, we do see some mineral stuff, which is always very interesting, and minerals help to activate our DNA, and they could also be part of what's going on in the nervous system, so there could be some depletion of minerals. Digestive, you know, it's really interesting that he's got so much going on with the nervous system, but yet his digestion, there's really some, yeah, maybe it's enzymes. You know, enzymes, I just heard this interesting talk that said that the essence of our spirit, like the seed of the soul, is actually associated with the pancreas. And it made me think about how enzymes are light. You know, enzymes are really like a form of light energy. And so if you have anything that's chronic, you know, those proteolytic enzymes can actually be really, really powerful. So that may be an ally in what you're dealing with, and certainly it would be in reducing inflammation. We see some adrenal stress in the today's stress, some immune stress, liver stuff. Degeneration means you have more going on actively than you're able to heal. So you want to sort of get that back the other way. You want to have more healing going on than active issue. But that's not a surprise. We've got some fungus, might be like some candida, some emotional stuff, some brain stuff. Of course, we know that with past seizures. Connective tissue, this is probably what's going on with the shoulder. This could be adhesions and so forth going on with the shoulder there. So interesting. Now, you guys, I go up to 200. So even though it's green, I'm going to go up to that 200. You know, sometimes when we don't know what to do, we just want to grab onto the miracle frequencies, and our solfeggio tones are our miracle frequencies. Undoing situations and facilitating change, sounds like that'd be good for Bob. Transformation and miracles, that 528, one of the most powerful frequencies you have in the entire program. Returning to spiritual order and awakening intuition. awakening that sense of being intuitive, connected to oneself and universal consciousness. 759 for emotions, that's a big number right there. We definitely want to include those emotions. The truth is, you probably could do an entire healing. You could probably do an entire practice just looking at emotions and flower essences. So if you only included emotions and flower essences and nothing else, you still would be really shifting the physical. We have body, mind, and spirit cannot be separated. They are inextricably intertwined. If you affect one, you affect the other. All right, we got a lot of good emotional energy asking to be released, asking to be unwound. So this is a great opportunity. You guys really want to read between the lines. When you see a lot of emotions come up, come to your own conclusions. We could go all the way up to 200 here. So this is good, 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 good. Excellent. Make sure you include those flower essences. Again, it's very repetitive, but in a way, it's completely different from person to person. I love doing this work because every person is so different, and every person is a different story, and we get to see the individuality of that story. I feel compassion for people in the allopathic medical field because it's one person, or every person, one diagnosis. One diagnosis of fibromyalgia, maybe one or two medications. But fibromyalgia is a conglomeration of mind, body, spirit, emotions, circumstances, past experiences, childhood illnesses. It's made up of so many different pieces. You couldn't possibly assign one single medicine, which if you think about it is just one frequency. You cannot possibly assign that just to thousands and millions of people having that condition, because each condition, each expression of the condition or the diagnosis is like a snowflake. It's uniquely different from person to person. So we must individualize. We must get the individual expression if we are able to feed back the correct frequency to them. It's very individual for each person. We also are gaining an understanding. If you think about it, a weird sort of side thing about going to the doctor that we don't realize is we're asking to be understood. Probably the biggest disappointment was when people go in for their visit after waiting 30 minutes in the waiting room, 45 minutes in the actual room. The doctor comes in, they see them for 10 minutes, dismisses everything that they're saying, and tells them to take the thing that's on the prescription pad, because people want to be understood. Biofeedback is a vehicle for helping people to be understood, and that is why part of the session is not just blindly looking at these. We're not automatons just placing things into the main hold tray. It's really being there in partnership with the person, understanding who they are at a deeper level, and then you see the tears and the look in their face at the acknowledgement of someone finally understanding what's going on with them. And you do not need to be a PhD with gobs and gobs of education to just be here to be present with them and using the mastery guide and explaining what you're seeing come up for them. Anybody can do this. And that is part of the excitement of biofeedback, and the genius in particular, is that your health should be in your hands. Your ability to help your family members should be in great part in your hands. It shouldn't cost you your entire life savings. If you're an interested and curious person and willing to learn, it's within your grasp to help yourself and the people around you. And that is why I feel so passionate about the genius, because the genius is our vehicle, or one vehicle. It's a very practical way to do this. So honeysuckle is the highest energy that comes up here. And what it represents is a frequency to work through the emotional blocks. It's going to open up the energy. And so honeysuckle says trying to break from living the same repetitive cycles of the past. what I love about this concept is what Byron Katie says, where would you be without your story? What if all of a sudden the story didn't exist and you were just you in this moment? Where would you be? Who would you be? And so I love that. Some blood sugar stuff, some selenium, the need to support the immune system. We have another flower essence. So these flower essences are coming up right at the top, meaning they're really, really powerful. Centauri means trying to develop better boundaries, in life. Magnesium, good for detoxification, some good emotional stuff coming up to be released. Zinc, interesting. See, this is probably the magnesium and zinc, and this is exactly what we were talking about with Elena on the summit. We both of us said two of the biggest deficiencies we see across the board come up for people are magnesium and zinc in our testing, and zinc being very important. There's some signs here that the immune system needs support, and then we see magnesium and zinc, because they're coming up at the top, they're probably very, very important minerals for Bob to look at. Got some other emotional stuff. See, all this emotional stuff could have an incredible, that momentary transformation where everything shifts. So this is really, really good stuff. Aspen is fear of unknown things, trying to get, be okay with changing circumstances. And usually I don't read a fourth, but just because it is so high here, wild rose, feeling a little bit resigned about one's situation, feeling maybe a bit of apathy. Just maybe that might be associated with hopelessness, who knows. So okay, some really good stuff coming up here. I think there would be a great receptivity to these emotional frequencies and the flower essence frequencies. So I think, Bob, you're going to respond really, really well to biofeedback in general. I'm going to run some frequencies for you post-class, after the class, and I think that you're in very good hands with Karen running some genius frequencies for you as well. But look into those enzymes. I think the enzymes could hold some promise for the pain. How do you get a voice recording from a remote client? They can call and leave a message on your voicemail. They can use the voice app on their phone and email it to you. They can text you. Now you can do a text voice recording. So there are many, many ways, and then you just play back that recording while you're getting ready to set up their scan, and they can email you or text you a picture. Okay, so a couple of other things here. Suzanne says the mastery guide is amazing to help me learn about the genius. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for the positive comment. Just a comment on converting completely to Facebook. Hearing the summit discussions on Facebook wasn't that great because of the sound. That was just an international issue, but point well taken. I think that was more the interviewees, unfortunately. And then we didn't use Be Live the first day. Anyway, okay. Okay, so Nogier frequencies, do they correspond with the ear acupuncture points? Marianne, I don't know, because I don't know the Nogier points that well and how he developed them. I'd have to look at that, but Paul Nogier is the one who developed the auricular acupuncture. Okay, you guys, I want to just thank you so much. I'm sending you much love and appreciation. Talk about Thanksgiving. I am thankful for each and every one of you. We're a high-touch community where you can always email me, ariel@awakentotalhealth.com, and I'm happy to answer your questions as well as here on the live sessions. We really want you to be an active part of the community and use the genius as much as you want to, and also we want to really support you through to your success. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, everyone. I will definitely be back here next Monday, and I'm in the office for at least the rest of the week until Thanksgiving, and then I'll be back in the office on Friday. So pretty much I am around if you want to get in touch with me. Keep an eye on your email. Many great bonuses and specials coming your way. Lots and lots of love to each and every one of you. Happy harmonizing, and keep creating those miracles with the genius. I can see you now at the Thanksgiving table pulling out your pulling out your genius for, Aunt Madge and helping her with her arthritis. So I know you guys are out there in the world creating miracles. Lots of love to each and every one of you. Take care, everyone. Be well. Bye-bye for now.